So I speak now during the Yontif of Pesach, Chol Hamoed actually, not allowed to film Shirim on Yontif. But aside from being the Yontif of Pesach, we're also in the days of Sfiras Omer. And if you ever look closely in the Siddur, you'll see Sfiras Omer is divided into seven sections, 7 weeks. Sheva Shabbos is 7 weeks. And each week, according to Kabbalah, we're focusing on one of the seven spheros, the attributes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the midas that Hashem has created to interact with this world. And during these 7 weeks, we're meant to work on these attributes to the best of our ability. And just as Hashem portrays these attributes to the world, we're meant to copy or more accurately emulate these midas and to try and imbue them with ourselves during these days. So after Shabbat Shabbosos, after 7 weeks, we should be ready for Kabbalah Torah. Although I spoke yesterday about avoiding topics of controversy and dispute, I'm going to, as not necessarily contradict myself, but touch on a topic today which is filled with dispute. And this will be the topic of the next series of Shirim. What should you do if your spouse asks you for a divorce? Now, if they're asking you for one, it's probably because you did something stupid. We often do things stupid, myself included. I'm not sure that 5 minutes goes by in my life and I don't do something stupid. But it's all relative, depending on how critical you are with yourself and how much you understand how hard it is to really act with chokhmah, true wisdom. Rav Yaakov Emden said almost 400 years ago, perhaps even more, no, maybe less than 400, about 300 to 400 years ago, he said, in our generation, you should just be quiet and not say anything stupid. That was his advice. Then, imagine how that applies now when you read Sidduros has taken place over the years. But we often say, do, think, act in ways which are not intelligent. And really, one of the great purposes of Torah study, connecting to the Torah, connecting to Gedolei Torah, connecting to anything which is Kodesh, is to try to change ourselves. And Sfiras Omer, to try to imbue within ourselves these seven special attributes as we prepare ourselves for Kabbalah Torah, to once again receive the Torah on the wonderful Yontif Shabbos. So we're going to deal with the next few classes this question of what do you do if your spouse asks you for a get, for a divorce? It's probably justified. It's probably because you're doing something stupid. And whether you recognize it or whether you don't recognize it, it's probably the case. Your spouse might be deranged or have a personality disorder or maybe have really bad minas. But, and of course, you have to ask, everyone has to ask a Rav. It's very, very critical to have a Rav to speak to on these issues. But I'm just going to give you some food for thought today that I've learned from my own life and from trying to help other people and from Gedolim, especially now about the attribute of chesed that we are working on during these days. The midah of chesed, which is the midah, the attribute of these days. I once spoke about the concept of Christian kindness, and we all know that we had a twin brother. Yaakov had a twin brother named Esav. Esav went his way, and Yaakov went his way. Esav was a very smart person. In fact, his head got chopped off and is buried, as far as we know, in the Moras Machpelah, together with Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Adam, and Chava. So Esav was a very smart, our brother, I guess now they're cousins, our cousins, our Christian cousins. So they have a rule they call the golden rule. And the golden rule is don't do unto others what you don't want it done to you. And the rationale behind this rule is very, very logical, is what's called social norms. Social norms. We want to make the world a better place for us to live in. And if you make sure not to do anything to anyone else that you don't want done to you, so hopefully people won't do it to you, and everyone will be happier. It's kind of euphoric presentation of the world, which is very nice. A very nice idea that everyone should be thinking careful so that the world is a better place for us to live in. Chazal, in fact, take issue with this world outlook, and they say three words about it. Chesed lu'umim chatas. The kindness of the nations of the world is a transgression. Now, they don't mean for them. For them, it's really good. They should continue it, not doing to others like they don't want done to them. They want to, halavai. They would, all of the Christian cousins would treat us with that respect, and the Arabs as well, and all nations for that matter. We respect all nations. We just hope that they can respect us as well. But um, the Torah demands a deeper type of chesed. When we work on the seven attributes, seven forms of chesed, as it were, during these days, we're looking to get somewhere much deeper. That's not doing chesed to our spouses because we want to be treated with chesed, but we want to do chesed because it's intrinsically the right thing to do. Like Avram Avinu, as the Rambam in 10th parak of Hilchos Tshuva writes, right? That Avram did the truth because it was the truth. And for this reason, he's called Avram Oyavi. He's called my beloved one. Avram, Avram Avinu is called my beloved because he did chesed, because it's the right thing. Hashem wants us to do chesed. It's a mitzvah to do chesed. And we do chesed, we're emulating the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now, a lot of men and women, but men especially, might be trying to make their marriage work because they want to have a nice life. They want to have a nice Shabbos table and singing, and like all the things you see in the books or wherever, spend Shabbos by people's homes. See wonderful shalom bayis, and it might really be wonderful, or it might just be a facade. You don't necessarily see people's problems in public, dirty laundry aired. But the point is that men and women sometimes want shalom bayis because they they just want to have a good life, and that is kind of in line with the golden rule of our Christian cousins. That making don't do unto others because you don't want it done to you. Creating social norms to have a good life, but on a deeper level, this is not what we're supposed to be doing. And especially the women, Bina Yisera, can sniff it out. And when they see that, they'll be frustrated because they don't want to be the objects of kindness because they should give kindness back, like kind of a machine. You press a button, press the kindness button, and you get acts of kindness. If you find that your wife is upset, angry, frustrated, the same thing applies to your husband, then it might be because you're not really doing chesed in the right way. You might be doing chesed because you want chesed back. And this is really, really not correct. If you think about it, Chazal tell us chesed lu'umim chatas. It's a transgression for us because we're supposed to connect the chesed on an intrinsic level. That we should be doing chesed because Hashem does chesed. Yeah? And Hashem created the world because of chesed. And Hashem wants to be mated, and we should be copying that. We should be copying that. Last night, I was lying in bed, like getting ready to have a few hours some sleep in order that I should be able to wake up the next morning and go to the coast and daven here. And my wife tells me that there's a pot outside of the refrigerator. I said, okay, all right. She said, would you put it back into the fridge? I was like, well, I'm lying down here and I'm almost asleep and I'm really tired, you know? So um, maybe you'll do it. She said, but I'm also really tired and my foot is hurting me. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I am going to get up from my state of being half asleep and do it. And I did it. And I felt a little bit good about myself and I got a compliment from my wife. Because it wasn't easy when everyone knows that when you're almost asleep and someone asks you to do something, it's not easy. Um, so I gave myself a pat on the back and went back to sleep. The point is, though, that to really, during these days, Sfiras Omer, we're working on chesed of chesed sheba chesed, chesed sheba gvura, chesed sheba tiferes, trying to perfect the attribute of chesed and to really um, touch on the true chesed, which is Hashem's chesed. It's a lot of work, and the first thing we have to do is to emulate Hashem. And Noked Haikol Yadcha, you have to do chesed because this is your deepest desire, without any expectations of personal returns from your chesed. If you're doing chesed because you want someone, your spouse, to do chesed back to you, so you're missing the point. That's not real chesed. This is chesed lumim chatas. You think you're a great guy, or if you're a woman, you think you're a wonderful wife, and you're really not. I mean, you're on the right track. It's better than throwing pots at your husband or your wife. Much better. Cause a lot of damage, physical and emotional and psychological. But you need to work on it. And this is why Hashem gave us these days of Sfiras Omer to work on these 7 attributes, starting with Chesed. Hashem should help us, and we will continue on this topic, Bezrat Hashem, in the upcoming days. Amen.